each other. Now, these two very unique in the way that they do things, specifically the Giants taking a look at their overall stats for the Six Invitational so far. Something popped out at me, especially for their offensive sides. They actually don't have a main hard breacher as of right now inside of their entire lineup. Actually, everyone prioritizing either soft destruction or information, the likes of Jordan, with the most played op being Yana, but actually two Zovia mains slipping in here as well. So Giants prioritizing those soft breachers as well as just overall lethality over the hard breach potential they could possibly bring to the table, whereas we've been seeing Parabellum throughout all of today just be so lethal inside of their early timed executes and everything else in between. And well, it looks like Parabellum have possibly figured out what the last issues could have resided in, and it happens to be Shield. Monty off the board for the offense. Yes, he has gotten nerfed, but could still possibly be an issue, as well as the clash that we saw Canadian running inside of that last match.
Now, the Giants ban going to be an interesting one that will change up how basement is played more so than anything else. Second floor will also have implications into it. But inside of North America, Goyo is a mainstay on both of those sites. So losing him is going to force teams to make, to be fair, a pretty slight adjustment, but obviously could have some major effects on their capability to delay the attackers. You won't have those mollies, which serve somewhat the same purpose of, say, the smoke gas grenades as well. That's fire on the floor that you can't pass for the 5 or 10 seconds that it's there, and it serves as great delay utility. No longer going to be an option, of course, because it's now been banned out. Giants will be starting out on the defense here inside of the basement. I'm really excited for specifically this first half because we've been seeing some great potential come out of both the Giants defense and Parabellum's offense. So this, in my opinion, will be the best of both teams in these first 6 rounds.
Yeah, I'm so very excited for what both of these teams have to offer us here on Oregon, and it's already starting off quite strong. We already have an interesting 6 pick coming in from both sides. The Ying coming in for Spirits away from the Mavericks, so kind of an awkward change up for the Giants, probably assuming that Maverick was going to stay, but clearly that's not the case. The Giants, though, also switching gears here, putting Hysterics on over to the smoke, where previously he was Wamai. Now, that's going to change things up a lot for the dynamic of this round because Spirit's currently on that Ying, and we know how dominant she can be when she's allowed to use those Candelas. So now that they only have the ADSs, and those are easily burned nowadays, this could be problematic.
Be important to note there, Speakeasy also opting to go with a shotgun right now instead of the SMG, so gonna have to play into an interesting position in order to account for that. Obviously making the prep phase a little bit easier here, setting up those stuns nice and easy with the shotgun to make those holes nice and quick, but hopefully following that up, as this has also been used by Giants previously, I believe, inside, or other teams, I should say, inside of this tournament too.
Yeah, Ella, not a operator that we see played too often inside of North America, but she's still as potent as ever. Those Grishamot mines extremely annoying to try and deal with, and usually end up catching you off guard the first handful of times. So Speakeasy could find some easy frags for some of his teammates inside of Bunker, but we'll just have to see. As for Parabellum, though, they're out onto the field already 45 seconds off of the clock. So now just trying to figure out exactly where they want to push this push from. We've seen them start small tower quite often, and it seems like they're going to be sticking to that game plan, as Penguin currently playing the main lobby. They have a somewhat nice pinch here going on, but it seems like Giants is ready for the top of Freezer as well as a player sitting inside of security.
They're about with 3 drones working their way into those Freezer stairs right there, really wanting to make sure that they scare off the Giants defense and, more importantly, allow themselves to move on to the next stage of this attack where they'll have to work on all the top-down angles. You can see still some fear here from Parabellum as Giants are continuing to play into aggressive angles on positions like the back stairs, fending off any push towards the big towers. That is still slowing things down on an overall pacing for Parabellum as they work to get themselves in good position and with a good amount of enough time here in order to make their way into the basement. Now, Giants have finally fully fallen back. We've seen that backstairs position move away, and now it's time for Parabellum to start setting things up. They've got half the round to do so and get the successful execute down onto the site.
And Parabellum taking their time here, just working on this downstairs side. That's not something that we saw happen too often up against Space Station Gaming, but it's a complete switch in opponents, obviously, and a completely different region to worry about how they're going to try and play this out. And it's actually working extremely well so far for PB, especially with that earlier engagement that we saw around the security area. If they overstep there, they more than likely lose one of their members. So very smart gameplay from them so far. The Giants still opting for this turtle defense. These mirrors looking quite strong going into this last minute. Still plenty of utility to burn as well. Hysterics mostly worried about the backstairs, and he damn well should be, because this looks to be the stomping grounds for Parabellum.
Other problem for Parabellum is going to show up here is the fact they're down to just 2 drones to work with now. So they've got to be very cautious about how those drones are used and, more importantly, where they're positioned if they want to use them properly to get into the site. Giants, of course, fending things off on the backstairs with the smoke usage, but now the drop comes in towards Electrical. Doesn't seem to have panned out too well. There was Jordan immediately counters that with a Nitro cell, killing the first player on drop. Sonar, though, goes right in. No one seems to notice him. Euphoria also follows it up with a second. Jordan responds again. He's the savior at this point for Giants. We'll see if anybody else can pick up the heat, but now Speakeasy with that FO12, shutting down Sonar on the push through E and bringing us down to a 2v2 with 13 seconds left. It's up to Parabellum now to change their fate. Penguin over with the skeleton key, takes out Lunar and leaves us all on Speakeasy, but he's got a great position and case control. They're gonna try to pinch him out, and it'll work because Penguin does it again. Parabellum take the first round.
Foot on the gas, Parabellum push it into sight and take down Giants. It was a nice entry kill there with the Nitro cell, but they weren't worried about the pillar position and what was going on with the big tower stairs. So Parabellum fully take control of it, simply walk in and start removing Giants members from behind. We have people dying in bunker with flanks that they didn't even know were there. It was just no cognizant movement from the Giants over towards pillar. They just didn't worry about it anymore, and Parabellum are able to fully take control of the site because of that. Granted, does come down to the 2 versus 1, but looks like Penguin is ready for that with the skeleton key.
Not touched one skeleton key, kill 2 of them as well, as that one at the end also came from it. Also, Penguin not caring at all, taking the risk on using that shotgun, which is meant to be used for soft destruction, but in this case, Penguin seems to have a different definition.
Yeah, bullets still hurt, even though sometimes they're used to break up walls and stuff like that in the likes of a skeleton key, and it can get quite scary, and I think that's why the Giants, although quite tall, might move upstairs, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're headed up top now, and they've actually switched some things out. We talked about this before with the Wamai, with the Wamai and the Ying, and how that kind of went back and forth. The Ying can have a lot of effect without other people there to try and stop her, especially if it's only, ADSs or only Wamai or something like that. That's where Ying can find a lot of potential impact on a round, and that last one was definitely helpful in that category. This time around, though, Giants are going to be moving the goalpost and make this burn a little bit more difficult on the PB members. Ysera back on the Wamai in tow with Jordan on the Jaeger.
Ying being brought in this time as well on Spirits, so we'll see what use they're able to get out of that as they work in towards an upstairs execute. Plenty of central positions to be utilizing it, but generally speaking, we see this brought in more so for those basement executes. Not to say, though, that it cannot work under these circumstances. Let's take a look at how Parabellum is going to start out that opening attack. Once again, we got Giants players extended out all over the map, 2 inside of this lobby, and what a setup from his Spirits! Sees the bullets coming in from Sonar and responds with perfect accuracy to take out his head and, of course, put Giants on the right foot forward here.
It's a completely different game on international competition. If somebody did that in a ranked game, you'd call them out for it. But here, that's what matters. You get those first bloods, you catch your opponents off guard, and that's what the Giants are doing right now. Parabellum, though, still at full force, although they do lose Sonar, excuse me. They are pushing forward still very aggressively from small tower, but this seems to have a solid read on it from the Giants now. They knew what was going to be going on with lobby, so they set up around that area and get the initial frag. That was amazing stuff from Hysterics inside of Split.
That's going to put a dent, unfortunately, in the Parabellum attack throughout the rest of this round. Parabellum, an incredibly aggressive team, though, so I don't expect this to slow them down too much. If anything, it'll just make them a little more cautious here because of the fact that they can't take risks as heavily as they could before. But now they can, as Spirit shows up, finally. Obviously, it's a little bit late, but with the trade there, taking down Lunar Metal, bringing it into a 4v4 here, and with the rest of the team standing by close to White Stairs from Small Tower, ready to make another push. But they've got a few other things to deal with. Hysterics still holding a position downstairs on the freezer steps, could easily wrap against this white push.
Well, I'm going to be holding on to this. Eska knowing someone's inside of security. Jordan, hell of a shot. Knocks him out. Eska down. And now Penguin stranded on white. Still has Euphoria here. Worried about the possible push from Jordan. Possible freezer stairs push as well, as Penguin will clear that with the pre-fire. And he should have been worried as well. There was a Giants member rotating downstairs as they seemingly cannot stop this onslaught from Giants on this defense. Spirit's now in, possibly here with the shocks going out and not able to find too much off of those stuns as Penguin hauls into the door, not able to find a frag. Things all of a sudden starting to falter here for Parabellum as it's just one member at a time getting picked off. Spirits will repel on the dorm's window. Can't even find that frag as Easy whips around with the SMG-11 and takes him down for round 2.
Chris with a little Hail Mary there on the rappel by the door at the end. Unfortunately, not going to pan out. Parabellum with some good positioning to start things off, but unfortunately, we're fighting from the back foot right at the very beginning because of that great setup in the front lobby from the Giants to put it down to a 5v4. Did they eventually trade it out? Yes, they did, but the problem was they had to play so cautiously. They didn't have the positioning they needed to get proper upstairs control and were forced to execute directly into Giants' setup, leaving them with a nice shutdown at the end of the round there. It's going to tie us up at 1-1 and send the Giants back downstairs for another attempt towards the basement.
Man, I am already sweating for these two teams. This has been some incredible stuff, and honestly, the thing that you said earlier about these two squads and the two sides that they're currently representing inside of the game, I completely agree with you. I think that this is going to be some of the best gameplay that we see amongst these two on these sides. Parabellum, very, very strong on their offenses. Just that initial pick, little too big here for them. Oh man, this is going to be the part where I have to walk off stream and actually grab my coat real quick so I don't look like just a guy wearing a random t-shirt. So John, yeah, this match so far, man, pretty crazy. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's been a pretty insane one. I do like the immediate stylistic adjustment that we're seeing here from the Giants in order to counter out what, in my opinion, has been a lot of very aggressive starts from the Parabellum roster. We're starting to see Giants take a very aggressive foot forward, play to these extended positions, like we saw in that front lobby position right there, in order to allow them to somewhat artificially slow down Parabellum, basically making Parabellum respect the defensive play that's coming out from Giants right now, and maybe make them not be able to activate their own very aggressive strategies that we were seeing used against SSG, like those crazy swings and whatnot that were happening in the mid-round after they took that initial positioning. They're having problems getting that initial positioning right now, so they're trying to figure out how exactly is the best plan to work around that.
Well, it seems like Parabellum are kind of getting a taste of their own medicine. This is something that they were doing against SSG inside of that last game, where they continued to poke at them throughout the round to keep them on their toes. You always have to worry about a possible flank or something coming through. We also saw SSG have some of that with Rampy seemingly appearing out of nowhere and dropping into E-Box, but that kind of seems to be the story right now on Oregon, is this constant flow of people trying to poke the offense and get them away from their task, maybe pull them away for just a split second and try to get them to focus on other things, and ultimately worry about a potential flank to get a frag. And this time it works out a lot better for the Giants. That initial round that we saw, they set up for a cross from security to Frazier to just simply try and play that hallway, but it doesn't work out for them. Parabellum, give it the respect it deserves. They don't end up losing any bodies, so Giants double down on the aggressiveness, put Valkyrie right inside a split, and find that beautiful pick to start us off for round 2. But we've delayed long enough, folks, and that means that I no longer have to be sweaty inside of this thing because you no longer have to see me. Giants versus Parabellum, it's back on.
Getting back into it here on round number 3. Of course, we'll be resuming right where we left off. Only 2 rounds if you're just joining us that you've missed so far, but they've been a very intense 2 rounds here. Giants continuing to play into that aggressive extension at the beginning of the round. Didn't work on round number 1 in the basement hold, but had great success in round 2, specifically in the front lobby. Now we get to see how they might adjust things going back to the basement for the second time inside of this matchup. We do have a 6 pick there. That was obviously why we had to do the rehost, as it wasn't working for us. So Lunar is going to be going from the Valk over to the Mira, which was the reason why we had to restart.
Yeah, it's a very nice pickup here for Lunar. See if these mirror windows can have some more effectiveness on this round as opposed to the last. Now, we did go to this site for the very first round of defense for the Giants, and it didn't work out too well for them. Just remember what we talked about a little bit ago. They have that early setup inside of security, but Parabellum respect it. They do a very good job of just holding the cross from Showers Hall as well as Lobby, or Z, that hallway over there right outside of classroom. But immediately after that, Parabellum start to do their own thing. They start to work the back end, kind of see where these Giants members are. Giants seemingly ready for any entry point from Parabellum, but they hyper-focus on the double door for bunker, and that's where it all goes wrong. They lose full pillar control. Parabellum walks into pillar, starts taking down Giants members, gets it down into a 2 versus 1, and takes the first round.
Time to see if Giants can net themselves the second consecutive round here, continuing to lock down these defensive sites and force them deeper and deeper into their site pool for this map. Or will Parabellum continue to find success with these aggressive basement attacks, allowing them to find their own? Now, we've already got Parabellum on the inside, starting to take some control, specifically from the direction of Small Tower, just as they did in the previous rounds on this site. But obviously, there's going to be things in the way of that. Ysera, not actually realizing the drone's in the corner there for a second, but a quick correction will then send Ysera down to the basement for a more passive hold, since the position, unfortunately, has been revealed. You can even see that right there, Penguin trying to fire on that from down below into Laundry, but obviously nothing coming out right there, so I'm going to move on from that relatively quickly.
Should be a relatively straightforward process here for Parabellum. They already have full top control. There's no real roam game here for the Giants this time around. The most forward operator being the Jaeger at the start. Jordan could obviously rotate up big tower stairs here, but we'll have to see if he wants to go through with that. Especially with the shotgun and some of these closer range engagements, he could probably more than likely get a pick, but they've already got the cross established here. Spirit's going to be holding the big tower door, so Jordan doesn't have a chance to actually push for Kitchen Hall in the slightest. Eskin going to move up and actually get rid of this. You can see, look at the force from Parabellum here. They're going to be taking over big tower. They already set him up outside the door to hold the cross and then have everyone use their utility as well as work these angles all at the same time. They're playing so well as a team right now.
See if we can continue to see that cohesion come together. And the difficult part of this round, which is that transition down to the basement. We had already talked about that in round one, and Parabellum still going to have to go up against it here in round two. They're able to manage it and make things work, despite the fact the Giants seemed very much ready to take on the challenge. Now we're faced with a very similar circumstance here. This time, though, Parabellum, no entry frag to work off of here. They're in a straight 5v5, and they've got a minute to make the difference work here on the inside of the site, where Giants have a straight bunker hold. All 5 players contained, trying to prevent any access for Parabellum.
This is going to be very difficult for Parabellum to try and crack, especially with these mirror windows. This early pick likely going to decide who ends up winning this round, but that's actually kind of a weird call, especially for how these two have been going. We usually expect those opening bloods to have some sort of effect over the later halves, but with these two, they always double down on that aggression and are not afraid to try and trade out their teammates. And it all starts now as Penguin works his way up the freezer hall. He'll find some cover on the boost box, but Ysera's just better in the situation. Sonar pushes forward. He'll gain that. And as soon as he does, he gets case control as well. But the Giants whitewash the entire board. Incredible stuff from them. Oh my, able to take down every single member here, cleaning things up as that freezer push does not work out.
Of a blue wash under these circumstances.
Yes, indeed,
but either way,
indeed.
Giants clean up shop with relative ease. No split pressure coming against their construction hold from the electrical drop. Everything focused on laundry and freezers. So Giants are able to put the full brunt of their defense against those 2 push points and are able to stop this. Penguin again trying to work with that skeleton key on his push in a freezer, by the way, for anybody who missed that. So he seems to be a pretty consistent stick on this, using both of the options on Buck's primary weapon to try and use it in combat. Not too often do you see that happen so consistently, so I just wanted to point that out real quick. But obviously the attacking strategy from Parabellum not working out too well, but it is still going to force Giants onto their third and possibly their least prepared site, is so often the case for teams that do so. It's not to say, of course, they're going to be an outright loss for them, but Parabellum probably going to have one of their best chances to try and claim another attacking round on this super extended site before Giants unlock upstairs on the next round.
That was very well played from the Giants, backing off their aggression and forcing Parabellum onto the timer where they have to try and get their execute to go off without a hitch. And Giants trading back and forth inside of Freezer, really dealing the damage to Parabellum that they needed to early on inside of that execute, and then simply dispatching the rest of them at the laundry door. So very well done from the Giants, and mostly chalked up to just how that turtle defense went overall. Really like the use of not only their utility, but especially the black mirrors and the amount of impact that they had over that round. But either way, we're now down into round 4. Giants ahead here on Oregon, but we expected that, as Oregon does usually go to that defensive side.
I see a little bit of an extra emphasis on the defense put out here. Jordan, of course, bringing the castle into play, so that's going to be able to block off some of the access routes into Kitchen specifically, but of course it will extend into other parts of the map too. Thank you very much to our observation team there for pointing those out. As interestingly enough, yeah, we'll have one of them deployed on the upstairs main window here, which allows for Hysterics to play into an extended position towards Armory. Right now, this is actually a pretty powerful spot, as Parabellum are trying to push in from the master bedroom side, but the other player over towards Armory, combined with the pressure that's also over by the kids in dorm sites, is making this a little bit too much for Parabellum to vie for. That's, of course, until that spray goes in. They won't know it, but Parabellum rips a good chunk of HP off of Hysterics.
And we have seen an evolution of strategy in that area across all regions, really. Some playing shields inside of Trophy and trying to hold down Masters, some reinforcing even the Armory area and trying to hold on to that for dear life. But this time around, Giants simply having some soft walls and pretty nice T95 SMG on their Legion. He can pop possibly deal some damage into Master if he so chooses. Although the Giants across the board currently in myriad of different engagements. We also have Castle. Jordan downstairs on the freezer door with 2 Parabellum members currently around him. He hasn't been discovered just yet, so he could have a late flank. Goes off very soon. Either way, though, Giants simply waiting for Parabellum to make the first move here yet again. Do not want to try and get into dangerous territory.
Penguin creeping in to try and commit to the upstairs clear. This will be a little dangerous having Penguin on the front because he does have the case in hand, so he ends up being the first player to go down here. They're going to have to make sure they trade this out at a minimum to maintain case control. Thankfully, Giants don't want the heat. They're, for the most part, going to fall back, and regardless of the circumstances, Penguin picks up the first kill here as he's able to knock out Lunar, bringing it down to a 5v4. That's not the only player from Giants that's taken any damage here as well. Remember, Hysterics getting melted earlier in the round from a pre-fire outside of the master bedroom door, and Speakeasy also taking a lot of damage here at some point earlier in the round also.
Well, down into the last minute now, and this is where we saw Parabellum run into trouble the last time, but completely different bomb site here. Jordan coming back off of the roam is still on the top of main stairs. Would work his way in through lobby, but Parabellum now ready for this execute. They got stuns on board. Penguin going for the plant after he cleared that top floor. They've got the crosses already set up, but it doesn't seem like any of the Giants members are currently home. This plant, it's done. Eska as well as Spirits able to get 2 big kills, and you talked about blue wash before, John, but it seems to be orange this time around. Parabellum stomp all over round 4.
See some aggressive attempts from Giants to swing out and try to retake some control over the situation, especially from the inside of Freezer Stairs, but Parabellum has all of their assets covered and makes sure that none of those shenanigans are able to work their way back into the round. A clean closeout, bit of a scary one, like I said again, with Penguin's push into the upstairs kids position, but thankfully there were 2 other players supporting him. They had Ying support behind that as well. It was all well and good for Parabellum at the end of the days. They're able to take solid control of a second attacking round now. 1 against the basement defense, of course, and 1 just in that last round on the first floor hold. Problem, though, Giants are going to go to another site that so far they've not lost yet, but also, to be fair, only played it 1 time. So we'll see if the second attempt is going to yield success for them also.
And Giants headed back upstairs as well as a 6 pick coming through for them. They're going to be moving away from the mute and picking up the Warden. So that's going to drop their wall denial, which that's going to make it pretty straightforward for Parabellum. And the beauty of this is, in fact, well, Parabellum not bringing a Maverick. So honestly, this could have been a pretty big issue if it came down to it, depending on the walls. But obviously, they can deal with them from below with Penguin and that skeleton key or any soft destruction that they're bringing. But Sonar going to be the only form of hard destruction utility that they have access to here. So this really up to where they're going to use that secondary hard breach.
Keep in mind, this is on the upstairs holding.
Yes.
Too. There's a lot of places where you potentially would need this, whether it's the walk-in double, the attic double, a number of other places where you could also find some use out of hard breach utility. Even that double wall leading into the bedroom.
Wait a minute.
Right there.
Is this Medics? Do a spin. It's Medics! Oh, buddy, how are you doing, my man? I haven't seen you in forever. Oh, well, thank you for the amazing stuff as usual, Medics.
What was the do a spin thing?
He always spins. You don't know that?
Apparently not.
Yes,
No.
yes, that is the Medics way. The only way to know if it's Medics is if he does a spin. That's it.
All right, well, today I learned. Either way, we're going to see Parabellum start to put pressure to the inside of Small Tower here to begin their push. A fairly normal way to begin this attack that many, many other teams also choose to utilize.
Yeah, well, now you know, man. There you go. Medics, you know. Amazing spectator that shows you guys all of the stuff that we usually talk about on the desk, and that's why you guys are able to learn so much cool stuff. Yeah, what's up?
Got some sick flips, apparently, too, according to you.
Hey, man, listen, you know, it's just those 360s. He used to skateboard, and it's a long story. Either way, back to basics and back to what we should be talking about. A minute off the board already for Parabellum on their offenses. They're going through their standard clear. We've expected them to start Small Tower and push across. This clear has been, it's been working extremely well so far. It looks like Giants might attempt to get more aggressive on it down low, but that's not going to work out. But what will is Lunar Metal with the goggles on Warden, turns on the glasses, sees through the toxic smoke, and puts a bullet right between Spirit's eyes.
Peaky delay even on that peak as well. Unfortunately, Spirit's not catching the swing quickly enough. That is going to remove a very important piece of utility from the Parabellum roster as well. They've been pretty heavily reliant on these Candelas in order to move into the sites, so we're going to have to see now how they fare without them. Once again, fighting from behind here in the 4v5, a similar circumstance that they faced with already, and I believe have been able to win 1 round fighting from that. But regardless, it's still a very tough thing in Siege, and even just that 1 player being lost, regardless of the utility that goes down on the floor with her, is going to be a big deal inside of this round. Sonar, one other player from the Giants so close to each other. That Giants member holding out. Could be just around the corner here from the other side of the wall. Looks like might have fallen back, though. Yep, Jordan, this is now going to the freezer stairs position. And probably going to have much better hope of taking down one. However, Sonar finds Lunar through the floorboards for free. Jordan now just trying to timing this for more than anything here, hoping that he can move out with the right timing in order to execute Sonar without taking any additional damage. This has gotten a little bit more risky now, and he's even going to get some support from Hysteric, so we'll have to be careful about the aggression because, yeah, that can happen. Hysteric swings out from the corner, shuts down Sonar. Speakeasy with another kill here as well against Penguin, and Euphoria also falling. All the dominoes toppling down for Parabellum as only Eska gets another kill, and the Giants claim victory here on round 5 and so far remain completely successful on their upstairs holds.
3 frags coming from roamers in the dying moments there. Giants, wow, what a round for them, especially with that engagement going on inside of security hallway. Either way, though, Giants able to come out on top, and as you said, perfect so far on their dorms defenses, and this has been a pretty tough cookie to crack for Parabellum. I think that round mostly chalked up to just lack of hard destruction. That site takes quite a bit of it, as more than likely you're going to have to funnel if not. Usually the priorities are master closet as well as the attic wall to get some pressure on those players in there and just try and get rid of that safe harbor that we usually see them try and utilize if it is going for like a big window take or something along those lines. Either way, though, Parabellum just not really having the pieces necessary to put enough pressure on the Giants to make them bleed. This time around, hopefully see some changes, and that's exactly what we're going to see actually across the board. Euphoria now on Nomad, Sonar got the Habana, as well as Penguin with the Maverick.
Some change-ups to the overall strategy from Parabellum, especially going up against that basement attack. The added hard breach probably going to present more options for them in terms of getting into the site. Unfortunately, that last attack trying to go the more standard route that doesn't really rely on much hard breach in order to get access, as you're just going down those laundry stairs as well as freezers. So tried to take it that direction, but the problem was Giants setup was set up to exactly counter that. So they need to look for new options, and I think we're going to see that now with all these new operators being brought into the fold for this third attempt on the basement attack from Parabellum.
I feel like I blinked and we're at round 6. This game has been truly electric so far. Hope you guys are enjoying it at home as well. This is going to be our last game of the day, folks, as we are just about at that halfway point. This will be Parabellum's last offense, and it's going to be starting off just like this entire game started off. It's going to be a small tower clear pushing on over. We'll see if Giants have shifted anything up. No longer a security player being here, so Parabellum won't have to worry about that. Ysera will skimper on back down to site. But remember, we still have an opportunity here for a late rotation from someone like Jordan coming up the big tower stairs.
Jordan continuing to wait out patiently, as have most of the more aggressive Giants players in these early round situations. That's a real hallmark you can take home about Giants right now, is for the most part, the early round positions that they've been playing into have never overexerted themselves. We've very rarely seen the Giants extend out so far to where they're at an active detriment to both themselves and the rest of the team here. So really good job at managing that, and more importantly, making sure that they pull those positions back to the site when necessary to avoid getting overwhelmed. That's an issue that quite a few of the NA teams, obviously not counting Parabellum, have been dealing with so far at this tournament. Jordan probably gonna have some pretty big implications into this round. Parabellum saw the other player in Big Tower falling back, so they're more than likely not going to expect Jordan's position.
All right, so Spirit's going to burn one of his breaching rounds to see if there's any discs or anything that could possibly catch it. There's not, so he'll end up destroying that soft wall down there just for rotation later on and some possible sight lines. But this is very far away
Jordan
from
hasn't moved
attack
an inch.
actually going off. And yeah, Jordan has not moved an inch up top. As this might be the play to change up this entire round in favor of Giants. As we've seen going back and forth, it's been Parabellum to battle and try and tie things up, but they're going to lose the first member of well in the likes of Eska. That's the Sophia down. Jordan still with an opportunity here, but he's been air jabbed. Euphoria steps up, takes him down. Hysterics finally gets a refrag here as they try to fight back. 2 Parabellum members down, make that 2 Giants members down as well, as we enter a 3v3 in the dying moments.
Spirits with a very big pick there to swing around the corner and take down Speakeasy, but it's a heavy cost to his own HP at just over 25 here now. 40 seconds remaining, though. That's infinite time in siege terms here, so Parabellum are certainly going to be using it, throwing out drones, trying to get the info. Pretty sure they just saw Lunar there as one drone gets taken off their count, but now they need to push it forward, make an impact against Lunar. We're going to see that from Penguin, as it's not Lunar that goes down, but Ysera instead. That gives Penguin access to the site and his first plant attempt, which will go down now, as well as Lunar going down. Euphoria finishes off the round for Parabellum as they take the 6th and tie us up at 3-3.
Well, you can't get a 4-2 split if you can only really win on one bomb site, and it seemed to be dorms for Giants. That boded so very well for them, but either way, that's going to be a 3-3 split amongst these two, and wow. I mean, this is kind of what you expected. I honestly thought we'd have a 4-2 split here, but they are neck and neck indeed on those two represented sides, but now we're going to be flip-flopping, and this is going to be a big deal. Who is better on their offside? That's the real question. Parabellum now on defense, Giants obviously on offense, and we're going to be headed downstairs, and not only downstairs, but a possible Echo coming into the mix as well.
Echo, of course, an operator we've been seeing used quite a bit, especially for these hard-locked basement sites where a team can play into it as basically a full bunker setup. Echo's been a very popular choice for that recently. That extends over to places like Clubhouse's basement as well. Just, in all honesty, usually the basements is where he's coming out right now, regardless of the map that's being played. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that where we see him brought in too, but it's interesting to see that because the most recent change to him was a pretty significant nerf, but despite that fact, quite a few teams are finding more use, bringing him back into the pool over these past few weeks and months.
Yeah, as of right now here at SI, he's got a 4.5% ban rate and a 12% pick rate. So obviously has had a fall from grace from what it used to be, but still seeing some play here, and I think that's worth noting. Obviously, losing that invisibility on those yokais has limited his potential a lot in some of those clutch scenarios where, you know, there's just hidden drones on the ceiling and you have to try and play I Spy with the rest of your team if you don't have an IQ. But either way, the Echo now just seeing some play for some possible roam games. John and I saw some matches earlier inside of this where, you know, put a yokai drone with your roamer, try to get some assistance inside of the sonar blast or just the information, or simply try and hide them around your site to try and stop those last second plants. We'll see how Parabellum want to try and apply Penguin to this basement setup, but we'll just have to see on down the line. As for the rest of the setup though, pretty straightforward, especially with the laser gates coming in. That's something that North America has been doing quite often recently.
We'll see how the addition of the Echo into this potentially helps or hurts the overall defense. You can see, of course, we've got those lined up, as well as the soft wall and the pretty torn apart wall leading into the site as well. How that will all change up the actual execute once Giants feel comfortable enough to start pushing their way into the building. And I believe we're hitting that point here now. Lunar, of course, clearing out the second floor, and Speakeasy doing the same over towards Big Tower to ensure there are no roaming shenanigans going on here for Parabellum. While there were extended positions earlier on, they've since been pulled back here. And what is Ysera shooting at?
They barricaded the kitchen double door.
Oh, okay. There we go. So.
Yeah, so that's honestly a really smart thing that we see a lot of squads utilize, is just like the basic barricades every once in a while for a sound cue. Because I mean, either or, like, yes, it is a soft barricade. You can shoot through it, you can punch it, you can get rid of it very easily, but you still have to commit to doing so, which does give some information up to the defenders or just your opponents in general. Either way, though, the Giants now working down their checklist and starting to set up for this execute. Doesn't look like Parabellum want to get too aggressive on this defense, and you can't necessarily blame them from this basement position. More than likely going to have to try and transition up a staircase and lose a life because of it. We do have a very aggressive forward position here from Euphoria as he's laying on the base of Freezer floor, waiting for anyone to come down the staircase. Does have quite the angle here, but could get droned out at a moment's notice as it'll work its way out. He's going to have to back up, but we're more than likely going to be seeing this from Giants for a little while. Look at their drone economy right now. It is purely immaculate.
Well, 8 drones remaining here for Giants at less than a minute to go, so they have infinite info to play off of here right now. In fact, 2 of those drones haven't even been thrown out as of yet. They're still sitting in the inventories of a few of their players and going to be staying that way in a couple different cases here, as now they'll lose Lunars. But for the rest of the team, still possibility to see that come out later on in the round. Parabellum, though, has been staying very quiet on the inside, playing into that same bunker strategy now that we've reached a very late point into the round here. Everybody has returned to the site. No real surprises being cooked up here for the Giants as they work their way into the site, but still, they will still have to deal with a full 5-man roster that's going to be waiting for them as they work their way in. That's a good start as it evens out the playing field, but immediately Eska unevens it. Ysera with the exchange. We're going back and forth. Time now becoming an issue here for the Giants, though, with only 10 seconds left. They need access to a plant angle. They've got it, but here's the issue. They've lost its support. Ysera now on their own trying to clutch this one out. Speakeasy comes in for the support, but it's not going to matter. Spirits shutting it down for Parabellum as they take the first round of the second half.
They're just tagging him up with impact grenades. I thought we were playing Rainbow Six Siege, not Pokemon. This is ridiculous. They're just chucking these things time and time again and getting them to move. That's the biggest deal, right? Using those impacts to try and distract and everything else. But what were you going to say, my friend?
No, I was going to say, in all honesty, I completely understand that. Just trying to get chip damage off onto these players. Some of these gunfights have been so quick and have been instantaneous headshots. So on the small chance that you're not going to be immediately taking the head off your opponent, that little bit of extra damage is going to help out a lot inside of these very, very quick situations.
Yeah, also, I believe Penguin just overall trying to deal as much chip damage like you were talking about to the planter. It just so happened that when he went to go peek the angle, someone happened to be standing in the massive rotate next to Closet. So kind of caught him off guard there for just a second, but it doesn't seemingly matter for Parabellum. They take the lead for the first time here up against the Giants, and they're immediately sending us upstairs, and we're still keeping the Echo.
See, of course, now how the upstairs hold is going to contain itself. A very similar strategy can be deployed here by Parabellum with the Echo behind it, especially if the Echo is able to bunker themselves to the inside of really any of these rooms, the most common one being the room that Euphoria is currently playing into now, but Attic also going to be a good option for that, assuming we don't see Giants go for the clear on the double that Spirits is now reinforcing. It's been not too common of a thing anymore that we see teams trying to attack from that direction, so should be a pretty safe harbor here for Parabellum unless Giants decide to take another note.
Yeah, we haven't seen Attic be a main priority for very many squads as of late. Yeah, it is the standard we usually see, like the standard push of Master Closet as well as Attic, and you push out and they all have to go to dorms or, you know, the back of like the white bunks and stuff like that, whatever you want to call it. But either way, we've seen teams lean more towards like a double window as well as white and things along those lines. It just seems easier to set up for them. They don't have to try and risk running down Attic in what is just one locked lane with a singular filing cabinet and some wood to try and stop bullets from hitting you. It's a very risky push, and I understand why teams don't really like it. I mean, when you chalk it up to that, right? Like you have to walk down a singular path, and they know you're coming. It's very, very scary. So I can't blame a single team from going away from the Attic pushes, especially with how people were stacking utility in there. But Giants might have something to say about that, John.
Yeah, I know. We've been talking all this smack about an Attic take.
And it's going to work.
The big advantage you do get, obviously, by taking this Attic control is going to be the fact you have immediate execute capability out onto either one of the sites. And more importantly, you can punish the players inside of kits that are normally very well secured against the other take that we're seeing most commonly used by teams right now. So putting the extra pressure onto the kids players is going to be very important in this specific situation because that's currently the bunker for Euphoria. So he's not going to be immediately available to use those yokai drones should we see Giants pressure from that direction.
Yeah, and this is something that we've also seen change up here as well, is since people really aren't hitting the Attic as much as they used to, at least. Parabellum have actually shifted some reinforcements. There's no longer reinforcement on the double panel from Attic to dorms. Instead, it's on the other side to try and help with that push like you were talking about from the main double window. Either way, though, Parabellum's still very healthy inside of this round, as is Giants, but Parabellum still spinning around this map. This is the biggest deal. Penguin literally sprinting through Z right now, as there's a minute left on the board for the Giants, as they're trying to find some way to set up for this double window push. They've set up some mav holes for Speakeasy so he can try and insist with the push through Attic, as he's actually already hopped in through the hole, but it seems like they're already prepared for this as well.
Let's find out if that's truly the case here. Moving into these final 40 seconds, it's all about the execute from this point forward. No more messing around. Any sort of off-site presence here. Euphoria already taking a lot of pressure there from explosives, nearly taking out the floor from under him. He's going to be at just over 25 HP for when the execute finally moves in from the Giants. Here's the problem, though. They are not moving in yet. Spirits is going to be stunned out, but that doesn't seem to matter. He finds a pick and then goes to the window for a second. Ysera falls victim to that also here. A flash in from Jordan, but it doesn't matter as Penguin's ready for it. He says peekaboo and bye-bye to Jordan. Now it's up to just Lunar Metal. Sonar with the M590 shutting out Hysterics, and Penguin with another one as well. It's a flawless defense from Parabellum as they take round 8.
Where was this Parabellum 2 days ago? I would like to know, guys. Can you please let in all of North America on... Did you guys just like let your siblings play and you didn't tell us? Like, I don't know what to say. absolutely incredible today, John. Like every single game that I have watched for them in today, they're just so dynamic in the way that they're handling things, their pacing control, the way that they're respecting the other team, and they know when to push and pull. That's the biggest things about Rainbow Six Siege that we see people mess up all the damn time. Too aggressive, lose all your people, too passive, they execute. This team is doing everything to a T, and they seem unstoppable in the moment, at least up against this Giants offense.
It's currently leading the charge in the stat department there at an 8-2 scoreline. So some pretty impressive stuff for him. It should be noted that our in-game scoreboard does not have the first 2 rounds on it right now because we had that reset real quick. But still, regardless, some leading prowess coming out there from one of Parabellum's members as they still hold the crown for the time being inside of this matchup, where it's a much more even affair over on the Giants side with Ysera and Speakeasy and Hysterics all having 4 kills currently.
Yeah, and Spirit's actually being the top frag so far in Invite for this squad. Granted, the stats that we have from the previous days, not the greatest, but today, I guarantee you that full stat board for this team is going to be completely different. I mean, this seems to be a whole new squad like we've been talking about, and still sticking to their own game plans here. We have the Echo yet again, as well as Penguin on the Ella. Things, again, that we don't see all that often, but Parabellum feel comfortable with them inside of their strategy. They're opening this playbook wide to try and beat these teams.
Oh, Parabellum truly bringing some new stuff to the table here, at least as far as North American teams are concerned, some new stuff to the table to try and net them these rounds that are necessary to get them over the edge and into a victory position. There's only 2 left at this point. You can even see Spirits with a hyper-aggressive position, the deployable shield on top of the table on the inside of Cafeteria. And that's not the only one. We just had view on Penguin as well, who's in the upstairs small tower office with a deployable shield to assist him outside of the door. You can see they're trying to look for an angle against him, but that shield is not really making it possible, assuming he plays it correctly.
And another little fun fact for you guys as well that I just found scouring the stats really quickly. Euphoria is actually the only Echo player at this LAN right now. He's the only one that has Echo as their main defensive operator. So very unique thing strictly for Parabellum that, well, in the moment seems to be working out for them. They're going to have Penguin up top here, and this seems to make a lot more sense as to why Ella was brought. Those Grismont mines, very annoying whilst trying to work your way into the building, whether it be through hopping windows or what have you. It's all the same when it comes down to it. He'll be able to delay so much time here as Lunar Metal already burning his frag grenades. He don't want to be pressure on this office window either. Penguin's going to be allowed to sit and spin on this timer for as long as he wants until somebody gets forceful.
Yep, and Lunar may be very well getting that soon enough here. Penguin continuing to wait for an opportunity to try and find a frag himself, but quite obviously everybody from Giants breathing down his neck or breathing down his staircase in these circumstances. Penguin, I'm not even sure if he sees the rappel with that one right there because the hollow sight might be blocking it partially, but either way, Ysera's in and he's got 2 players right behind him, ready to start putting some serious pressure onto this site. The torch is out there for a moment. Spirits having to really battle this one out. There's 4 players just inches away from him, and he's about to lose his only other reinforcement here. Not to mention, he's exposed to a window from the outside as well. He's going to go full aggro on this one. The nade doesn't kill him. Now he tries to move out here, can't get the immediate angle, and unfortunately falls seconds later. Jordan with another pick as well on top of that one puts Parabellum down to just 3 in these final 45 seconds.
The seemingly botched grenade assists Giants on the entry to showers as they have full control and an opportunity to try and get the case down here as well. But 3 Parabellum members more than likely have something to say about this with 30 seconds remaining. Still have Smoke, still have Echo, still have Eska as he takes down Hysterics. That's going to be the first kill for them on the round. Giants move in. Ysera with fantastic positioning to start putting this plant onto the ground. Sonar already taking damage. They don't know where this is coming from. Euphoria hasn't even hit the ceiling yet. They have to stop this plant, and he still doesn't know where it is. Ysera, he gets the plant off, and it's all down to Euphoria now. He didn't look in the corner. The table blocking the angle, apparently, from that drone. It's now down to the 1 versus 4. Has an opportunity to take it to Ysera here, but Ysera staying cold and vigilant inside of the moment. No chances here presented to Euphoria in the clutch. Giants do not want match point here yet for Parabellum.
Certainly not the case, and with the way things are going, they're going to be able to preserve here. A 4-5 almost certainly coming up at this point, unless Euphoria shows us something incredible. Not necessarily incredible, but at least it's funny at the end as we're able to see one more kill roll out before Jordan gets traded there.
Some incredible stuff here from the Giants, and Fantastic way to clear out showers, especially with the way that Spirits is moving. Man, that guy has got some skill, guys. I mean, every single one of those little engagements, people peeking out into showers and doing things, he's adjusting his position, making sure he's taking different angles, and when they're using utility, he's pushing up to separate areas where they can't have the utmost effect on him. Very unlucky in the fact of the way that the grenade rolled, or if that was on purpose. We'll never really know from the Giants unless we ask them, but either way, that's what ends up getting Spirits killed. But I love the attempt. That's what makes this guy so very dangerous in those moments, is he doesn't stall. He doesn't look like a deer in headlights. He's ready and prepared, and he's going to push the envelope almost every single time. Parabellum lose that last round. Giants, great offense and a great plant attempt as well. That was a perfect spot to put it. They avoided every bit of utility from Parabellum there, including the yokai drone that rolls in late and still attaches to the ceiling. Cannot see Ysera in the corner.
Giants with some great work dealing with the very interesting setup we had from Parabellum, those two extra deployable shields going down close to the site, as well as in that upstairs position. The upstairs position taking them a long time to deal with it, and I thought that the delay that came out from that on top of those forward positions we had, such as in the showers, there was going to be enough to squeak out Giants and not allow them to have what they needed to get into the site, but it seems I was wrong in that, as the Giants are not only able to take those players down, but they do it without losing anyone in the process. That is, of course, until they start pushing onto the actual site, where even then they're still able to get a near flawless round for themselves against a very tricky setup from Parabellum. Good work coming out from them there, but things are about to get even trickier as we go down to the basement, where Parabellum have already had success.
Well, I would be lying if I said I didn't want this to just be endless and just continue to go on, but I know it has to end at some point. But either way, I will continue to enjoy this North America versus APAC match as much as possible, because we have not had this in so very long, and it feels so good to be here once again, especially with just how these teams are playing. Look at how close Giants and Parabellum's two scoreboards are. Spirits currently, topping the leaderboard at 8-0-3. Some close contention, not only amongst his team, but across the board as well, with Speakeasy. I mean, this is neck and neck.
Oh, so close between these two teams, and that's reflected very much so in the scoreboard. Parabellum not taking any risks on this round whatsoever, from what I can tell. They've got all 5 players already straight downstairs, no messing around with any of the staircases or anything like that. We're going to play this into the late round as Ysera and the rest of Giants begin to work their way into Big Tower there.
I love Rainbow Six, man. It's just so funny when you see teams enter the building like that, and they already know all the main spots that somebody would be sitting, and you just hear bullets flying through walls everywhere. It's insane. Like, there's shots coming through the stage wall. He's pre-firing the bottom of the stairs. This is all stuff that you see at the highest level of competition in this game, and that's why it gets so risky, right? When you start making these little aggressive pushes and you start to get in a pattern, there's just so many ways for the other team to just dismantle you. Giants obviously not being the case for them, but something worth noting. That's what separates these guys. They're able to look into what the other team is doing, try and get some insight, and make adjustments accordingly, especially with that mechanical skill that they're all gifted with. So either way, though, we're working quickly down into this last minute, although it has been quietly, just utility exchange amongst these two so far.
Eric's continuing to wait for an opportunity for himself and the rest of the Giants to work their way into the site. We're going to be getting that here over the next few moments, beginning to finally put some pressure downstairs, obviously having to deal with the utility around the corner. That nade's going to deal with what is more than likely a Banshee being put in that position on the staircase if they've been following the usual trends. That'll get dealt with. The problem is there's like 3 people holding the pillar position from behind. They're going to deal with one of them now. Sonar going down. Arguably, that was probably the best kill they could have gotten here. No more Toxic Babes to be thrown out. Eska also getting dropped. You can see the Mira trying to find something to work with here, but it's instead going to fall to Spirits, who takes down Lunar Metal. Penguin in the sight on the Mira, also getting another one here, but Speakeasy's got a triple, downing another one. Penguin gets himself the double. It's into a 2v2 here now. Euphoria with the flick over on the Speakeasy, and Penguin shutting down the final kill. What a fight, but Parabellum take it, and round 10 along with it.
Oh, Parabellum! What a way to close out the round. And did you see that movement from Euphoria around Pillar? He keeps Zofia completely out of line of sight, gets the repeak, and fries her. The Giants, amazing execute when it came down to it to start, but Parabellum battled back inside of the gunfights and are able to secure the round. They push themselves up onto map and match point here against the Giants. Can Parabellum, after an 0-2 start, a 7-0, getting 7-0'd up against Oxygen, and getting 7-3'd by Makers, go 3-0 on a day where they go up against not only a 2-0 Giants, but two of the former Six Invitational 2020 finalists. We'll have to see. Lots of rounds still left to play, lots of drama still left to be had, especially on the Giants side.
But showing up pretty late here, but we do finally get our tactical pause from the Giants, very much needing to recenter themselves after an incredibly chaotic round, and of course, plenty of other chaotic rounds that have transpired before this. That one, though, things got a little bit too out of hand for what they were expecting to go down on that attack. So time to recenter themselves and get ready, as this next round and the one after it have to be perfect. They have to take this to OT if they want to vie for control of this matchup, and more importantly, what would be a tied first place position in the group.
It's just so incredible the way that Parabellum are playing these situations out up against the Giants. We were talking about this earlier with how usually inside of Siege, the first bloods mean so very much. Inside of a standard game, especially from our respective region, the first blood usually means like 80% of the time you're going to win the round. That is not the case here at this LAN at all. Especially in Parabellum's case, they lose Sonar so very early on. You even noted on it. The smoke's gone. They have an amazing attempt here to try and make a push, and they still lose the round because of how Parabellum played the situation out, pushing the proper areas at the proper times, able to find those frags, and they know which space is freed up, after that happens. It's just amazing to watch. I don't know what else to say about it.
All right, well, let's get into it. Could be the last round now for Parabellum. Already bringing some incredible gunfights into this one, not to mention some incredible holds. Giants have come close and, in fact, have succeeded in breaking past them a couple times, but possibly not enough. They're 2 rounds behind, and they need to win them all at this point. Otherwise, we'll see Parabellum really, at this point, become the hope for North America at SI in general. It might be a bit bold to say that at this point, but today I think it's true.
Honestly, I'm inclined to agree with you. This team right now, I think that not only for North America, but I think for a lot of people at home across the entire world are cheering for these guys right now. If you guys do not know the background of Parabellum, let me educate you real quick while we have the Giants get out on the board. This team has been through everything that you could possibly think of as a squad for Rainbow Six. They have been through it all. This team shouldn't actually even be here at this moment, but they are, and they're playing so very, very well. Not being able to come and compete inside of the NAL, they have to break the team up, but then everything gets back together because they can go to the Six Invitational. They lose the first 2 games the first day, and they bounce back in such a convincing fashion, it'll make your head spin. If that doesn't make you want to root for these guys, I don't know what will, but if you're a Giants fan, we know you're not rooting for them, especially with Speakeasy on the entry like that, already dealing damage to Penguin, who has to skimper back to security.
Not to mention, if you folks at home are Canadian, 4 to 5 of them are representing your flag right now as well.
Oh, Canada.
Okay.
You're welcome, Parker. He paid me, guys. Don't worry.
I'm going to veto the singing right now.
Please, never make me do that again.
We've got Giants already working on opening up the attic push. They took this route last time as well. Gonna have to be cautious about the way they approach it, though, as we're going to see sight lines opened up first. A tiny just little crawl hole going down in the corner so they can make a safe entry as Ysera does that. Not to mention a nice spot there on the Yokai drone from the corner to avoid any snafus as they work their way past this further into attic. It's a nice use of our new contextual ping system coming out there to help the pro players. Not really new at this point, but...
Yeah, it's a little dated at this point, but I think that everyone is sitting in the same exact boat. Over the last year, things have been moving very, very quickly inside of just global space in general. But either way, nice pick here from Penguin to take down the initial Giants member, one of the essential ones as well. Jordan off the board, no longer having access to Habana, but still have an opportunity here inside of the last minute and 15. Now, looks like Speakeasy is going to be sticking to the same game plan we saw him have the last time. They'll map up the attic, and he'll start to push in. He's not using the concussions this time around, though, which could get him in some trouble. Possible swing here, able to get the kill on Penguin. Does the refrag come through? Those Spirits is ready for it. Speakeasy's not, and Giants still down a man.
Parabellum still with the advantage, but could lose it here as we get down to the final minute of the round. Lunar, Ysera, and Hysterics. All the hope for Giants now rests on them as they try to clutch this one out, bringing themselves further into the matchup and hopefully closer to overtime as well. They're with the lineup. Again, those are sight lines getting opened up here from the inside of Walk-In this time, as Sears really had to rotate all over the map on the inside of this round. Remember, opened up the attic as well about a minute or two ago. Lunar now ready to move forward. They know they have a player positioned in attic, but the problem is ADS is ready to go there for Spirits. Is he ready for the fight as well? He is. Takes down Lunar. Another player falls. It's just on Ysera now, and it's a 1v4 for the matchup. Not even going to be able to get that nade out. It's Parabellum that shut it all down. A perfect day here, and the second one on their group, and now tied for first place in the overall position in the group. No one expected this, yet it's happened regardless. Parabellum take this matchup 7-4.
I cannot believe the storyline that we're in right now. This is actually insane. Listen, I cannot wait to finish this manga. That's all I'm saying. Parabellum are on the biggest redemption arc I've ever seen in my entire life. You might as well change their name from Parabellum to Pandemonium, because this has just been thrown out. Take the script, set it on fire. It doesn't even matter anymore. Parabellum are here to play, and not only are they here to play, but they're here to dominate the competition. This is going to make for a hell of a final stage.
Absolutely the case, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to waste any more time here. We're going to get us over to our final break of the day, because after that, we've got the analysis team standing by to break down this incredible matchup and wrap up the day as well. We'll see you in a few, folks.